science, technology, engineering, art, math. Hi guys, we're in my backyard and there's some stuff that I wanted to share with you. This weekend I was working in my yard and this is like take 5 on trying to share this with you. Anyway, I was working in my yard and I was out here trying to make a butterfly garden. Pollinator garden. And the reason why I say pollinator garden is because of bees. Bees are the most important insect on the planet. So this episode, I don't know if I'm going to call this Steam Time with Dr. Palmer or what, but this episode of Steam Time is going to be about pollination and flowers and bees. So, I was out here trying to create a new butterfly garden because the one that I had was destroyed. I had one over here and we built a patio, so I'm building a new one. So I was transplanting, which transplanting means moving plants from one place to another. I was transplanting my plants. And I have a tree out here called a redbud tree. And my redbud tree was virtually buzzing with bees. And I got so excited. I said, oh, I've got to share this with the MMA students. They would love this. So I'm going to show you this redbud tree. It's not actually red. It's actually purple. Here is my redbud tree. It's not actually red. It's purple. There's not as many bees out as it was the other day. It's not as warm yet, but you can see the bees flying around. There's all different kinds of bees. There's honeybees. There's bumblebees. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger so you can see the bees up here. They are just in heaven with this tree right here. So here is the bloom on this redbud tree. It's actually purple, and I'll take one in and we'll actually look at it underneath the microscope as well. So there's Chewy. He thinks he has to come outside with me when I come outside. He's got to follow me everywhere. All right, first and second grade students. Before we left, we were learning about light and shadows. Well, as I was out here working in my yard, I realized there was a very important lesson out here for you. I had to transplant what's called a clematis. A clematis is a vining plant. This clematis needs sunlight. Well, I'm planting my butterfly garden in an area that will get both sun and shade. So I had to watch the area throughout the day to see which area was going to get the most sun. So I want to show you, here's the area. Right here's the clematis that we were talking about. And I was out here working and I watched the sun. The sun comes up over here in the east, is where my house here. You can see all the nice trees and stuff back here at this tree farm. So the sun comes up here. I wanted a spot that had the most sunlight for my clematis. So I watched the sun throughout the day. Remember when we were doing our experiment, we were doing morning, noon, and evening. So I watched the sun as it went through the day. And you can see right here, it's about 11:30 right now, and it's got some pretty good sun. So there is a good lesson on why you need to be able to know where the light. The reason for a flower, Ruth Heller. This is called the title page, and it's Ruth Heller, World of Nature, The Reason for a Flower, written and illustrated by Ruth Heller, which means Ruth Heller wrote the story and drew the pictures. Over here, this is the dedication page. With love to Paul and Philip and Lisa. Birds and bees. These are called hummingbirds. And these. Look at this down here. I wonder what this is. And these sip nectar from the flowers. Did you know bats sipped nectar? As they search for more and more pollen from the flower before goes to the next one, they explore. Some pollen travels in the breeze without the help of birds or bees, and very often makes you sneeze. From an anther or a stamen to a stigma on a style, pollen grains must travel and stay a little while, and then you'll see the reason for each flower, even weeds. The reason for a flower is to manufacture seeds that have a cover of one kind or another. Some grow inside a juicy fruit, and it's not odd to find them growing in a pod. The largest one's a coconut. Peas, tomatoes, avocados, apples, pomegranates, bell peppers. So these are all fruits and vegetables. Over here, there's nuts and tree seeds. Seeds travel far and wide. Some even like to hitch a ride upon a bike or a shoe. Squirrels hide them and forget they do. Some have burrs that stick to furs and travel at a gallop. Seeds can settle anywhere they find water, sun, and air, and then grow roots and stems and leaves. Some seeds grow up to be trees. These grow where it's very dry. And these grow where it's wet. These may not look like flowers, but they're the most important yet. Rice and barley, corn and wheat are cereals we need to eat. Millet and bamboo are a treat for animals who don't like meat. They are called herbivores. We are omnivores because we eat meat and grains. Would you like you believe these plants eat meat? And they are called carnivores. The largest flower ever found grows in the jungle near the ground, a parasite clinging tight to roots of trees that feed it. It's 3 feet wide, or maybe 4, weighs 15 pounds and sometimes more, and has a nasty odor. Rafflesia is its name. But here's a flower that owes its fame to smelling very sweet. And scientists agree that magnolias seem to be a prehistoric family. Prehistoric means it's out during the dinosaur times. All flowers are angiosperm. That's an ancient Grecian term. Here are just a very few products made from them for you. So candy, straw, wood, paper, coffee, tea, popcorn, pasta, perfume, rope, balloon, rubber, like balloons, medicine, bread, chocolate, cotton. Plants that live have no flowers are fascinating too. This one has become a plum. You need to make the bee craft is a ruler, some glue or some tape, some paper, some scissors, a pencil. If you have a printer, I will link the printed version to my website. Some crayons or colored pencils or markers. So if you have the printed version, first color it. Don't worry about staying in the line. Okay, to draw the bee puppet, if you don't have a printer, the first thing you need to do is draw a large oval or an egg shape. Next thing you need to do is find something round. I use a spray can here and draw the circle for its head. So it's going to kind of look like this. Don't worry about the lines inside. You can erase those out to get ready for the next step. Okay, I'm not going to worry about my lines being perfect. I'm just going to draw my bee stripes kind of curved like this. And there I have my stripes on my bee. To make the wing, I drew one, then I cut it out and I traced it so that they would be the same. To make the legs, you're going to fold it kind of like a fan. You're going to fold it back and forth. You might want to go back and color the other side of the legs. I'm not going to for this video. So you're going to fold it back and forth like this. And there's your legs. Okay, to put the strap on the bee that we've made by hand, you're going to do exactly like the other. You're going to bend the ends and put a little drop of glue. One of the things I'm going to suggest you do is bend it down, then let it set. Give it a while to dry before you play with it so that it has a chance to dry. If you don't let it dry, it's just going to tear up. So there is the homemade one. The bee life cycle. The life cycle starts with the queen bee laying an egg. The egg then turns into a larva. The larva then grows into a bigger larva, which eventually turns into a pupa. The pupa will then grow a little larger and change colors and begin to develop into the bee. Tessellations. A pattern of shapes that fit perfectly together. A collection of shapes that fit together to cover a surface without overlapping or leaving gaps. Often a repeating geometric pattern. Tessellations can be seen in almost every brick wall, tiled floor, wall, quilt pattern, lace tablecloth, fabric, and wallpaper pattern. The earliest tessellations were found as mosaic pictures on floors in old Roman buildings. Today, the term tessellation has become more specialized. Its meaning has changed, the individual tiles and shape of animals and people. A beehive is an example of a natural tessellation. A beehive is made of wax in the shape of hexagons tiled over and over. Where else can you find tessellations? Look at your soccer ball. M.C. Escher is a famous artist known for including tessellations in many of his art pieces. Let's look at a few of his art pieces. Now, let's engineer a tessellation. To make the tessellation, you're going to need a piece of cardboard, a pair of scissors, a Sharpie or a marker, and some tape. You also need a square. One of the things you need is a square, and for some reason I can't find my ruler. I'm just using a scrap piece of paper. So I want to fold my paper in half because I don't want a really big pattern. I'm going to cut right down that line. Then I'm going to fold a triangle because two triangles make a square. And now I'm going to cut right here. And now I have a square. I have all my stuff gathered up to start engineering a tessellation. I've made my square. So now I'm going to, you want to make your pattern for tessellation on something that's going to hold up. So I looked in my recycling bin and I've got my Diet Coke box and I just cut a side out of it. So I wanted to make sure my square fit on the side of my Diet Coke box. So the first thing I'm going to do is trace around this with a marker and cut out a square out of this Diet Coke box. So a tessellation is a repeating pattern. I could use a square, but I want to make it a little more interesting. So I'm going to show you how to take this square and turn it into a tessellation. Now that I've got this square, I'm going to draw just a line. Okay, now I'm going to cut this out. You want to keep your lines simple because you don't want to have too hard of curves and lines to have to cut out. Now I want to take the part that I've cut out and add it to the other side. But I'm going to wait to tape that in just a minute because I'm going to go ahead and cut. I'm going to take one more piece out here just for the fun of it here. I'm going to take kind of like a triangle out here. I'm going to cut my triangle out. All right, now I'm going to add that to the other side. So I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to tape them. Just butt it up to the end like that. I don't want to overlap it. I'm going to butt it up like this and I'm going to tape it on here. Okay, so maybe I'm going to, while I'm taping this, I'm going to tell you, I wanted to show you how to make a beehive, but it didn't work out. So I decided to show you something a little simpler that you could do at home. Maybe that's something we could do in the classroom next year. So now I'm going to add this to here. I'm going to tape this like this. I'm going to turn it over and tape it as well so it's nice, and because I'm going to use this as a pattern because it's repeating. We're going to do this over and over and over. Now you can use a newspaper, you can use a piece of trash you know that you're getting ready to throw away. You can use anything. I'm going to use a piece of paper I had laying around here. So now I'm going to set it right here on the edge, and I'm going to start with a mark. You might want to start with a pencil. I'm going to do it with a marker so that you can see what's happening. So I'm going to make sure it's right on the edge, and I'm going to start tracing my soon-to-be tessellation. And you want to cover the whole page, even if it doesn't. I should trim that off. Trim a little bit of tape off there. See how it fits together? I want to now. You want to make sure it fits together because remember it is a repeated pattern over and over. So I'm going to just keep going like this. Come up here, put it like this. You could make a smaller one so that you would have more repeating patterns. You want to start from the same side each time so that you make sure it lines up correctly. Oops. It kind of looks like a spaceship. And there's my tessellation. Now you can fix your lines and color it. Here you can see my finished tessellation that I have colored. Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for STEAM Time with Dr. Palmer. I really miss being in the classroom with all of you, but I thought this was the best way to have a little bit of STEAM time with you guys. I wish I could see you face to face. In this episode of STEAM Time, we explored bees. We engineered a bee hand puppet. We looked at the flower of a redbud tree under the microscope. We visited the bee life cycle. We learned a little about M.C. Escher and tessellations. And we used math and engineering to create a tessellation. We used STEAM. And I want to talk to you a little bit about technology. Technology isn't always using a computer or using an iPad or something like that. Technology is a tool. When you use a pencil or a pen, you are using technology. That is something that's been created to solve a problem. So not always are we going to be using a computer or an iPad. Now that we're home, it's a good way to think about how to use technology without being connected to the wall. So until next time, love you. And our next episode will explore matter and physical and chemical reactions. So steam out.